shift over to the necessary skills for the position. What are some useful skills that make for a good costume designer?
Oh gosh, so necessary skills.
For a costume designer, skills that are really useful are drawing skills.
I think a necessary skill is just to have a creative eye. I know a lot of people who are self-taught. I know people who have gone to college. I know people who have master's degrees. But I think we all have a really creative eye and really great problem-solving skills.
I think you have to be curious. That is like the number one thing.
That's the kind of skills that you need to have to be a costume designer, is just being able to look at things in a different perspective and really be able to use whatever you kind of have on hand to make magic happen.
You have to be super curious about a lot of things, about people and places and time periods and beings that are not like you.
You need to have an understanding of clothing history through time. It helps to have an understanding of world history, what's been going on in the time that these people are living in.
Something that's made me really good at my job is having worked wardrobe. I think that a lot of people don't have the experience in costume design of having run a show.
You have to be collaborative because, as I said before, like, it doesn't exist in a bubble. I don't read the play and then decide what everyone wears and the end, it's awesome. Like, I have to talk to directors and producers and actors.
Sewing helps, but it's not mandatory. A lot of people think that a costume designer has to be able to sew. It's not true. Helpful, but not mandatory.
Sewing is helpful, but it's not required. I know a few costume designers who don't know how to sew, but they do amazing work.
Just sort of personality traits, I think, that make a good costume designer. I think flexibility. You're going to need to be flexible because everybody has an opinion. And especially if it's a modern dress show, because everybody wears clothes, right? Not everybody knows how to put a set together. So they don't give the TD an opinion on how they attach two pieces of wood. But since everybody wears clothes, everybody has an idea on what the character should be wearing.
And you have to be open to listening to them and really hearing them, being willing to put your own ego to the side sometimes. I'm not saying don't have an ego, right? But you have to balance that ego. When is it okay for me to insert my stuff? And when do I have to sort of step back and listen to what somebody else is bringing?
A thorough understanding of the human body in all of its differences, because that is our canvas, is that we're putting clothes on all of these different people.
I think it's just like a willingness to like play and learn, because there's a lot that I don't know, but every single show that I go into, I'm like, okay, what can I learn from this?
When I was super young, I think I must have been 20 years old or so, I worked at the Opera Theater St. Louis. I was working on wardrobe, and they pulled us out in groups, and we were able to have little one-on-one mini sessions with the designers and creative teams of each of the operas that year. And I did a portfolio review with Martin Pasadena, who's an amazing Tony Award-winning costume designer. Look him up if you don't know him. He's wonderful. And I asked this question in the group. I asked the question, what happens when the other people at the table don't want to listen to your idea? And he said, maybe you should try listening to their ideas. You have it backwards. I was like, well, yeah, that seems much better. So it sort of just changed the way that I behave in the room, that moment. So I think being a good listener and being a good collaborator is probably the most important thing I think you have to have as a costume designer.
You want to be a person that people can work with long hours, tired hours, frustrated hours, and still enjoy working with.